Hey there, pizza lovers. Welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm super excited because we're diving into one of my all-time favorite recipes, the perfect homemade pizza. There's nothing quite like the aroma of fresh dough baking in the oven, the sizzle of melting cheese, and the joy of customizing your own toppings. Whether you're a seasoned chef or a kitchen newbie, making pizza at home is fun, easy, and oh so rewarding. In this video, I'll walk you through every step of the process, from mixing and kneading the dough to crafting a delicious sauce and layering on your favorite toppings. By the end, you'll have a mouth-watering pizza that's sure to impress your family and friends. So grab your apron, preheat your oven, and let's get started. Before we dive into the cooking, let's take a quick trip back in time. Did you know that pizza has its roots in ancient civilizations? Flatbreads with toppings were enjoyed by Egyptians, Greeks, and Romans. But the pizza we know and love today originated in Naples, Italy, in the 18th century. Back then, pizza was a simple dish for the working class. Flatbread topped with tomatoes, cheese, oil, and herbs. Legend has it that the classic margherita pizza was created in honor of Queen Margherita of Savoy, featuring toppings to represent the Italian flag: red tomatoes, white mozzarella, and green basil. Fast forward to now, pizza has become a global sensation. From New York's thin crust to Chicago's deep dish and countless variations worldwide, it's a dish that brings people together. Making pizza at home is a wonderful way to connect with this rich culinary tradition while adding your own personal twist. So let's honor the spirit of pizza's history by creating something delicious in our own kitchens. All right, time to gather our ingredients. Here's what you'll need. For the dough: 3½ cups of all-purpose or bread flour, 1/4 cups of warm water, around 110 degrees to 45 degrees, 1 packet, 2/4 teaspoons of active dry yeast, 1 teaspoon of sugar, 1½ teaspoons of salt, 2 tablespoons of olive oil. For the sauce: 1 can, 28 ounces of crushed tomatoes, 2 cloves of garlic minced, 1 tablespoon of olive oil, 1 teaspoon of dried oregano, salt and pepper to taste, fresh basil, optional. For the toppings: 2 cups of shredded mozzarella cheese, your favorite toppings: pepperoni, mushrooms, bell peppers, onions, olives, you name it. Using fresh, high-quality ingredients makes all the difference. Opt for the best you can find: fresh herbs, good quality olive oil, and ripe tomatoes. Not only will your pizza taste better, but you'll also enjoy the process more. If you're looking for specialty items, check out local farmers markets or specialty food stores. Now that we've got everything ready, let's move on to making the dough. Step 1. Activate the yeast. First things first, we need to activate our yeast. In a small bowl, combine the warm water, sugar, and active dry yeast. Give it a gentle stir and let it sit for about 5 to 10 minutes until it becomes frothy. This means the yeast is alive and ready to work its magic. If it doesn't get frothy, your yeast might be inactive. Try again with fresh yeast. Step 2. Mix the dry ingredients. In a large mixing bowl, combine the flour and salt. Make a well in the center of the flour mixture. Step 3. Combine the ingredients. Pour the yeast mixture and olive oil into the well of the dry ingredients. Using a wooden spoon or your hands, start mixing until it forms a shaggy dough. It might be a bit sticky, that's okay. Step 4. Knead the dough. Turn the dough out onto a lightly floured surface. Now it's time to knead. With the heel of your hand, push the dough away from you. Fold it back over itself, give it a quarter turn, and repeat. Knead for about 8 to 10 minutes until the dough is smooth and elastic. This develops the gluten and gives your crust that perfect chewiness. Tips: if the dough is too sticky, add a little more flour, just a tablespoon at a time. If it's too dry, wet your hands and continue kneading. Step 5. First rise. Shape the dough into a ball. Lightly oil a large bowl with olive oil, place the dough inside, and cover it with a damp cloth or plastic wrap. Let it rise in a warm, draft-free place for about 1 to 2 hours, or until it has doubled in size. Common mistakes to avoid: water temperature. Make sure your water is warm but not hot. Too hot can kill the yeast. Overflowing. Adding too much flour can make the dough tough. Rushing the rise. Allow enough time for the dough to rise properly. That's where the flavor develops. And there you have it. Your dough is prepped and ready for its first rise. Great job. Now that our dough is resting, let's talk about the importance of this step. Letting the dough rise allows the yeast to ferment, producing carbon dioxide bubbles that give the crust its airy texture and deep flavor. It's all about patience. Find a warm spot in your kitchen. Around 75 degrees footed ready is ideal. If your kitchen is cool, you can place the dough in the oven with just the light on. You'll know it's ready when it's doubled in size. Gently press a finger into the dough. If the indentation stays, it's perfect. Time to move on to the next step. While the dough is rising, let's make a simple yet delicious pizza sauce. Step 1. Sauté the garlic. In a saucepan over medium heat, warm the olive oil. Add the minced garlic and sauté for about 1 minute until fragrant. Be careful not to burn it. Step 2. Add tomatoes and seasonings. Stir in the crushed tomatoes. Add the dried oregano, salt and pepper to taste. If you're using fresh basil, hold off for now. Step 3. Simmer. Bring the sauce to a gentle simmer and let it cook for about 15 minutes. This helps concentrate the flavors. Stir occasionally to prevent sticking. Step 4. Final touches. If you're adding fresh basil, stir it in during the last few minutes of cooking. Taste and adjust seasoning as needed. If you like a little heat, sprinkle in some red pepper flakes. Customize your sauce. Sweeter sauce, add a pinch of sugar to balance acidity. Thicker sauce, simmer longer to reduce liquid. Chunky sauce, use diced tomatoes instead of crushed. And that's it, your homemade pizza sauce is ready to go. It smells amazing, doesn't it? Now comes the fun part, toppings. This is where you can get creative and personalize your pizza to your taste. Popular toppings: meats, pepperoni, sausage, ham, grilled chicken. Vegetables: bell peppers, onions, mushrooms, olives, spinach, tomatoes. Others: pineapple, jalapenos, fresh herbs. Step 1. Prep your ingredients. Wash and slice your vegetables thinly to ensure they cook evenly. If you're using meats like sausage or bacon, cook them ahead of time. Step 2. Balance flavors and textures. Think about how different toppings complement each other. For example, sweet pineapple pairs well with salty ham, and spicy jalapenos add a kick to creamy cheese. Step 3. Don't overload. While it might be tempting to pile on the toppings, less is often more. Overloading can lead to a soggy crust and uneven cooking. Aim for a balanced distribution. Pro tip: consider the moisture content of your toppings. Watery veggies like mushrooms and tomatoes can release moisture during baking. You might want to sauté them lightly beforehand. Time to bring everything together. Step 1. Preheat the oven. Preheat your oven to 475 degrees. If you have a pizza stone or steel, place it in the oven while it heats up to get it blazing hot. This helps achieve a crispy crust. Step 2. Prepare the dough. Once the dough has risen, punch it down to release excess air. Turn it out onto a floured surface. Divide it into 2 equal portions for 2 medium pizzas, or keep it whole for a large one. Step 3. Shape the dough. Using your hands, gently stretch and shape the dough into a circle or your preferred shape. You can also use a rolling pin, but hand stretching helps keep air bubbles for a fluffier crust. Aim for about 1/4 inch thickness for a thin crust, or thicker if you prefer. Step 4. Transfer to baking surface. Place the dough onto a piece of parchment paper or a lightly oiled pizza pan. This makes transferring to the oven easier. Step 5. Add the sauce. Spread a thin layer of your homemade sauce over the dough, leaving about a 1/2 inch border for the crust. Don't overload on sauce to prevent sogginess. Step 6. Add cheese and toppings. Sprinkle shredded mozzarella cheese evenly over the sauce. Then add your prepared toppings. Remember to distribute them evenly for consistent cooking. Tips for preventing a soggy crust: moisture control. Pat dry any wet toppings. Cheese layering. Some people like to put half the cheese before the toppings and half after. Pre-bake the crust. For extra assurance, you can pre-bake the crust for 5 minutes before adding toppings. Express yourself. Arrange your toppings creatively. Make patterns, spell out a message, or create a smiley face. This is all about having fun. Step 1. Bake the pizza. Carefully slide the pizza with the parchment paper, if using, onto the preheated pizza stone, or place the pizza pan in the oven. Bake for 12 to 15 minutes, or until the crust is golden brown and the cheese is bubbly and starting to brown. Keep an eye on it. The exact time can vary based on your oven and the thickness of your pizza. Step 2. Achieving a crispy crust. If you prefer a crispier crust, bake a few minutes longer. For a softer crust, slightly reduce the baking time. Step 3. Check for doneness. You'll know it's ready when the crust edges are golden brown. The cheese is fully melted and has golden spots. The bottom of the crust is firm and golden. Step 4. Remove and cool. Using oven mitts, carefully remove the pizza from the oven. Let it rest on a cutting board or cooling rack for a few minutes. This helps the cheese set slightly, making it easier to slice. Safety tip: be cautious. The pizza and especially the cheese will be very hot. Here are some additional tips to level up your pizza game. Use a pizza stone or steel. This helps distribute heat evenly and gives you that crispy pizzeria-style crust. Preheat thoroughly. Make sure your oven and pizza stone are fully preheated. This can take at least 30 minutes. Experiment with flours. Try using bread flour or even a mix of whole wheat for different textures. Herb-infused crust. Brush the crust with garlic-infused olive oil or sprinkle with Italian herbs for extra flavor. Alternative cooking methods. No oven? No problem. You can grill your pizza or even cook it in a cast iron skillet on the stovetop. Make ahead. Pizza dough can be made ahead of time. After the first rise, punch it down and store it in the fridge for up to 3 days. Let it come to room temperature before using. Dietary customizations. Gluten-free. Use a gluten-free flour blend designed for yeast doughs. Vegan. Skip the cheese or use a vegan cheese substitute and load up on veggies. Keto-friendly. Use a cauliflower or almond flour crust alternative. Leftovers. Reheat leftover pizza in a skillet over medium heat to revive the crispy crust. Remember, practice makes perfect. Don't be afraid to try new things and make this recipe your own. Your pizza is hot and ready. Step 1. Slice and serve. Using a sharp knife or pizza cutter, slice your pizza into wedges or squares. Step 2. Garnish. For an extra touch, sprinkle fresh basil leaves, grated Parmesan cheese, or a drizzle of olive oil on top. Accompaniments. Salads. A simple green salad or Caesar salad pairs wonderfully. Dips. Serve with ranch dressing, garlic butter, or marinara sauce for dipping. Beverages. Enjoy with a cold soda, iced tea, or a glass of your favorite wine or beer. Gather around the table and enjoy your homemade creation while it's fresh and hot. Bon appetit! And that's it. You've just made the perfect homemade pizza from scratch. Give yourself a big pat on the back. You deserve it. Let's recap what we did today. Dough. We mixed, kneaded, and patiently let our dough rise to fluffy perfection. Sauce. We cooked up a flavorful tomato sauce that's both simple and delicious. Toppings. We prepared and thoughtfully selected toppings to create a balanced and personalized pizza. Assembly and baking. We assembled our pizza with care and baked it to golden, bubbly goodness. Enjoyed the fruits of our labor. We sliced and savored every bite of our homemade masterpiece. I hope you had as much fun making this pizza as I did sharing the recipe with you. Cooking at home is not just about eating. It's about the joy of creating something with your own hands and sharing it with the people you love. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and subscribe to my channel for more tasty recipes and kitchen tips. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. I'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me about your favorite pizza toppings or any unique twists you put on your homemade pizza. Let's keep the conversation going. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, happy cooking!